welcome to the Oil Stream, presented by Boston Pizza. Tom Gazzola, Hernan Salas, the Latino Heat, joining you from the Popeyes, Louisiana kitchen studio at ESTHQ, a busy ESTHQ as we celebrate 1 year on the air. A huge thank you to everybody who's watched, listened, caught shows the day after, maybe listened in podcast form. What a ride it's been. We didn't know it would turn out. We were hoping for the best, and I think we got as close to it as possible. And it's a busy building, and you are back. This is our first show together again since you left us at 12:60, and I could barely keep myself together that night. It was an Oilers game, too.
Yeah, it was late March night.
Do you know the date? Do you know the game?
I do not.
I can't remember either. I can't remember. But here we are, back together again. Of course, you can catch Hernan and Joaquin Gage on EST Afternoons, which will be coming up right after the Oil Stream. And as always, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Get in on the conversation, 780-218-9999. And, of course, get into the nasty chat. Dusty Nielsen's supposed to be going to the Banjo Bowl, but Popeyes, Louisiana kitchen in the studio. We have some actual chicken that J Milne, the glue guy, brought in to celebrate year number 1 of EST. Look at that fresh, crispy chicken. How much of that are you going to eat?
I might have one.
He's going to have one. You're a busy boy.
I'm going to have one.
He's a busy boy, that Dusty Nielsen, off to call the Banjo Bowl in Winnipeg. Popeyes launched its boneless wings, a continuation of their bone-in wing platform, which will allow customers a choice between ghost pepper bone-in wings or their all-white boneless wings with a milder flavor. With the success of their current wings platform, they are continuing to lean on their existing sauce offerings, including signature hot, honey garlic, honey barbecue, garlic parm, and classic. You are our honey hot, but if you get spicy, you get spicy. How's your first week been, pal?
Yeah, it's been good. Busy, overwhelming, I think, at times.
Why is that?
It's just, getting back in this kind of element, I guess. I was talking with Reed, and I was like, just booking guests again. And it's not frustration, but sometimes they don't get back to you. Sometimes they get back to you right away. Do you know what I mean?
You're back on this side.
Yeah, so you're kind of all over the place. And obviously, it's when the NHL and everything's rolling in October, it's a lot easier because there's so many stories to go through in so many different sports. So, but it's been fun. Me and Joaquin, I think, are having some good chemistry. We've had some good guests. We've had some good back and forth, and just every week we're looking to get better and better, add more elements, and all that fun stuff. And it's been great. It's like I said, it's different from the last 2.5 years, but enjoying it again. And just keep supporting.
Listen, man, you guys are crushing it. Obviously, I'm completely biased because we're all back on the same team. And I'm huge fans of yours and Joaquin's. But I was watching and listening while I was driving home from here yesterday, and then I had a meeting, and then while I was watching when I got back home, and the thing that I thought to myself is, man, it sounds tight, and it sounds clean on your show and on Reed and Jay's show too. Because
it's interesting, because I was always kind of the producer / co-host, so this is a little different for me. But it's all in the kind of the same realm, so it's been good. It's a lot of learning too, because it's a different than traditional radio, I guess. So I know with Maddie we got to get together here and figure some stuff out. He's been so busy though, so it's probably going to leave it till next week. But
he's been a busy boy.
So far, loving it. Always great to see the listeners always welcome you back. Family and friends are all happy and supportive, so it's been great. And it's great to be sitting here with you.
I know. This is the first time you and I get to share a full show. So if you didn't see it, we tweeted out via our EST official account, and then I think Dusty and the rest of us also kind of put some posts out there on social media, the full lineup for the upcoming year. So yes, Hello Hockey's coming back. We're just waiting for the birth of Belzy's baby boy. We're any day now, basically. And then, we'll see how Mama's doing, Lindsay, and we'll see if Belzy's got enough energy to get going in the next couple weeks. But when, that's the plan. And then, of course, Murray McCourt, Curtis Stock winding down the VIP golf show with Zach to come. We've got YouTube Trev, who's got a new podcasts with Edmonton Minor Hockey, or Hockey Edmonton, I should say. And so we're adding more. And I think there's, more plans to build up the weekend programming. We'll see how it goes. And obviously we've had the Green and Gold pre- and post-game show with Maddie and Jay, which has been awesome, great, passionate discussions and stuff on that show, as expected. And Century Casino hopping on board, being a proud partner there, has been excellent. And then our staples, Monday to Friday. So it's been really neat. And then the other thing, too, I'll say this. I don't know if I told you this, but Dusty told me that you were coming back at the game, the last game I worked, the last Elks game.
Against the BC Lions. Last home game, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously they won that game, the Elks did, right before the game. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. And I was talking to EJ and Dahmer. Dahmer gave me the cold shoulder like he always does. But EJ was like, damn, man. And then Mike R. Curry, who's filling in for you for the rest of the year over at the Elks, they're like, it sucks. We're losing Hernan. And I was like, yeah, I felt sorry at first. And then I think it was to EJ or Mike. And I said, now you know how I felt when you guys took him from 1260. So I don't know. It's been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster.
I'll be honest, that you would have asked me back in May, like I'd be here in September. It was just,
it's worked out.
Everything's just, like I said, it's been a whirlwind. It's been great though. And all the love for the Elks. And I know they're going to win on Saturday and keep this thing rolling.
Super excited about tomorrow's game too. You guys are going to talk Elks, obviously,
of course,
the afternoons. You and Gager, you guys have a whole slew of guests coming up. And then I was talking to Reed, and he and Jay also have a pretty packed show with some excellent guests. Okay, it is the Oil Stream. We do need to start talking about the Oilers. Hernan, we do have an opportunity to go down to the rink Monday, Tuesday during informal skates. Jamie Cartmel let us know this morning from Oilers PR. Guys are skating already, a bunch of them, and it's starting to, that itch is starting to show up and needs to be scratched right away here. So how would you sum up the offseason? What are you concerned about? What are you excited about? Because I would always look at you and you had a good perspective, but I take away the heart. And we're talking about this on the hangout, where it's like, I just try to play it as close to the line as possible. And so I take the heart out of it, but you have the pasión, as we used to say with Los Petroleros.
Los Petroleros, yeah.
So for you, what are you looking at as we get set for rookie camp and then eventually training camp here?
It's coming quick. That's what happens when you go to the Stanley Cup Finals, right? It's what a summer for Edmonton Oilers fans, and they started off with a bang on July 1st. They were just unreal, bringing back a lot of the guys.
Yep.
Corey Perry, Adam Enrique, and then adding two top-notch top six guys in Arvidsson, who I love. He's just a little spark plug. He can get under your skin. He can
already
score.
In town skating.
Yeah, that's great to see. And then Jeff Skinner, who I know on our first show with Gager, we were talking about it. It's unbelievable that he's never played a playoff game.
I know. Is he over 1,000 games now?
Oh,
he's got to be getting close to that.
But it's just unreal. And he's got a very, very good possibility he's going to play in his first one here.
I like his chances.
So I guess the intriguing part for me is where do those guys fit? Because everybody's got him penciling in with Draisaitl. You have the top line that remains from last year with Nuge, Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman. But Tommy, as you know, and many of our listeners, because everybody's pretty sharp when it comes to watching the Oilers and seeing what happens, it never works out that easily. There's always someone that fits better with someone else, and you got to move things around. So at least you got options. Things kind of went down a little bit with the hiring of Stan Bowman, and then the PTOs the offer sheets, losing two young guys. For me, who were valuable. You never want to lose young guys that you've invested in time in, especially a guy like Philip Broberg. And when you look at the decor now, you're like, ooh, this might be troublesome for the Oilers to start, but you understand why they didn't match, and they're keeping their salary cap a little bit open here and seeing if they can add during the season. So I think it's been a lot of up, a few downs for the Edmonton Oilers this offseason, but I think just the energy and the passion and the excitement to get a season going, because this team is so damn close to winning that cup, that I think that's what everybody's just raring to go. And it's so great when you go that far, because the offseason is so short. We're used to, when we work together,
5 months.
5 months of offseason. So you're just grasping at straws when it came to August. You didn't know what the hell to talk about the Edmonton Oilers.
the 2017, 2018, 19 seasons, we were just like, oh my goodness. And then we had some nights where some nights I would just stand back and watch you through the glass at the old studio and be like, bravo, sir. Look at this guy go.
Because when we worked together, we didn't have a lot of good times in terms of the team being successful. Like I left and they kind of started turning
That's when they
around.
went to the conference final. And you were just on your way to the Elks.
Yes, because I remember I was with the Elks guys like Evan Dahm and EJ, and we were watching when Connor McDavid scored the OT winner against Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was great. So yeah, it's going to be different because, like I said, when we worked together, it was a lot of downtime for the Edmonton Oilers. They were struggling. Yep. They couldn't get out of their own way. So for me, it's going to be different too. Talking about a team that's, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but it's probably going to be a very good season for this team.
It should be, and this leads into this. Obviously, Coolbet, proud sponsor and partner here at EST. So I'm on Coolbet.com. They've got the Oilers, looking at their futures, plus 680 for the Stanley Cup winner going into the season. Florida second at plus 800. The Avs at 1100. Dallas 1200. New Jersey at 1250. That's a bit surprising to see the Devils so high up there, considering they didn't make the postseason last year. I know they added Markstrom, and they'll have Dougie Hamilton back, and that'll make a lot of difference. But Edmonton, the favorites as of today, I don't know. I don't think it changes unless injuries in preseason and training camp, those do occur. They did happen to the Oilers last year. And Connor McDavid had an exclusive with Mark Spector, and he said the way he trained last year and going into the season, he felt tired. And this year he did things a little bit differently, and he feels more refreshed and took some more time for himself, as one would expect. So with that being said, the Oilers, when they have people, outsiders, the media, pundits, fans saying this is the team to look out for. Watch out. Edmonton is going to be a powerhouse. They're going to be a juggernaut. They are supposed to be in the Cup final. We saw it the years we worked together at 1260. Yes. We saw it last year. They don't necessarily deal with praise and positivity from the outside particularly well. Are you looking at that going, I'm a little bit worried they're getting too much love?
I think you're at a point with this team where that stuff shouldn't affect them anymore.
Shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
That's the key word.
When you were kind of previewing what you were going to say, I was like, yeah, this team, as soon as you're like, this team is ready, they're going to take the next step, boom, they go on a 4-game losing streak or a 5-game or 6-game. So it's something that you're always going to be a little bit cautious of. But like I said, I think this team took the next step last year with that awful start, rolling off 16 straight wins, getting into the playoffs, what they did in the playoffs, and then being able to come and force a Game 7 in the finals. I think this team's grown a lot. And I go back to one clip I saw on Twitter, is when they beat Vancouver in Game 7 in their dressing room, and everybody's kind of just sitting, celebrating. But Leon Draisaitl sitting there is like, we got to stop making it so damn hard on ourselves. He was obviously happy we're going to the next round, blah, blah, blah. But like for him to say that to me showed like, okay, this team's finally getting it. Like they're taking the next step when it comes to maturity and all that. Because for him to say that, I thought it was great. Because they did make it hard on themselves almost every game.
Totally.
Especially in that series, right? So that for me was a good sign.
Yeah. And that's a great point, and he recognizes that, and I'm sure McDavid too, and a lot of the leaders that have been around this team for a long time. But they have a way of stumbling and fumbling their way through things. It's almost like it's their process, and you hope maybe they've turned that corner. We'll see. If you're looking at it from a glass half full point of view, you're like, well, they better damn do it. I think they can do it. They should do it. They've proven it. And it's taken a lot of learning experiences.
Yes.
To get to this point.
You eventually have to learn, right?
You should be wise enough that you can work through those dilemmas, issues, and situations you've been through before and should be prepared for. But the Canucks had a great season, okay? Start to finish. Right at the top of the Pacific Division standings were the Vancouver Canucks. Gutsy team.
Yeah.
Much like the attitude and demeanor of their head coach, Rick Tocchet. They next man up, Artur Shilovs, we were talking about going into that series. Edmonton had fits with him. At the end of the day, they got to him, obviously. And losing all those Game 1s. Remember all the Game 1 losses going back. the McDavid era, if you will, in the postseason. So
not just that, but playing LA for the third straight time, because it could creep, and I think it did creep in a lot of fans' minds, saying, "Can they do this 3 years in a row?" Like,
yes,
isn't LA due?
I think that this was the most disparity between the two teams, LA and Edmonton, in terms of talent and capability. And Edmonton, I think, eventually they showed that, obviously winning in 5. So, but I understand where that sentiment came from. And Cass and I and Trav talked about it on the pre and post game shows, and they finally got over that hump. But you're right, like you play the same team over and over. And LA, I think not this past season, but 2 years ago, going to that second meeting, where you heard Todd McClellan and the Kings talking a lot about, we're ready to beat the Oilers. We think we're ready. This is the year that we beat them, and Edmonton still got them in, what was it, 6? It went 7, 6, and 5, right? Over the years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's where, the Oilers really vaulted themselves ahead of the LA Kings. And now I look at the LA Kings and I go, they should be okay. I don't necessarily love their moves. They were a bit surprising early in the season last year, too. So we'll see how it goes, how they handle the praise and acknowledgement and expectation, because this group and its history has shown that sometimes it gets to them and they don't think about the fact that you got to work your ass off, as skilled as you are, to win games in the middle of January on a cold Edmonton night.
But that's the thing, right? It's they made it all the way. They were 1 game away, 1 shot away. I mean, if Bouchard scores on the one he exposed in Game 7, maybe we're talking about a championship here. So I think this group has learned a lot, especially with their start, but now they know how hard it is to get there.
Winning a conference final game, too. Like, when Colorado blanked them in that series, and we would talk about it, I remember, 2 springs ago, Edmonton's going to try this in Game 2, and maybe they can crack, was a Francouz at that point, right? Like, maybe they can keep McKinnon off the board, maybe Makar this, and they're going to try this guy and this pairing against those guys. None of it worked. All 4 games. Remember, they got Dylan Holloway into the lineup for Game 4. People like, he should provide a spark. I admittedly was like, I'm curious to see how he does. Maybe he'll be okay. And he ended up playing 3.5 minutes. So they got past that mental hurdle collectively and then beating the Stars. And a lot of people had the Stars in that series.
Yeah. And Vancouver was probably one of their hardest. Dallas, I was a little surprised how well they played. I mean, outside of Game 6 where they got the lead early and then kind of sat back and got dominated for the majority of that game. But, that was great to see, because no one outside of, I think, Edmonton picked Edmonton to beat the Dallas Stars.
I had my doubts.
And I knew after game, because they won Game 1, right, in overtime. And I knew right then, like, you saw the pushback from the Oilers in that series right away in Game 1. You're like, okay, this is not going to go the way many NHL experts thinks it's going to go, because everybody was like 5-4. The Oilers were there to play, man.
Yep.
And they showed up and they were able to get to the final. And, we're both old enough to remember 06.
Yep.
It was a little bit different, because in 06, this was the 8th seed team. Like, no one expected them to go anywhere. And they kept just surprising everybody. This year, it was expected. And they, I mean, obviously they didn't win, Tom, but they got there. And we got a taste of it. And I think everybody's just raring to go.
I think you're right. Informal skates already underway down at Ice District, and a bunch of players in tow. Leon Draisaitl made his first appearance there yesterday. Matt Savoy was on the ice. Josh Brown was on the ice. Troy Stetcher. Who else did I see in there? James Hamblin, Victor Arvidsson, Matthias Ekholm, Zach Hyman, and a few others. If I'm forgetting anyone, let me know. But they've been posting some photos the Oilers have on their socials. And we will be able to go talk to the players Monday and Tuesday. So looking forward to getting back down to the rink. I think I'm going to head down there Monday. I was talking with Maddie, and I'll probably maybe be able to do Oil Stream from the rink. I've got a new setup for Oil Stream too. I figured it out during the Stanley Cup final. I had it in my backpack the entire time, but I'd always run back to the satellite studios across the street at my place. Got a better setup now, and Dusty and I, and whenever Dusty's away, whoever's filling, Maddie or you.
Can you
filling.
share, or do you want to kind of keep it a surprise?
No, I bought like a light, and I would do Rink Report with this thing.
Yeah.
I finally realized, I'm like, I don't need my laptop with me. I can just patch in on my phone, idiot. So, yes, it's very mobile, very limber, and it's going to be great. All right, it is the Oil Stream, brought to you by Boston Pizza. We're inside the the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studios. Boys inside EST HQ, enjoying some Popeyes right now. And fire us your questions or thoughts, 780-218-9999, or via the nasty chat. Tom Gazzola, Hernan Salas with you. Reunited again after 2.5 years, and it feels so good. And it's different than whenever you would like make an appearance on one of the shows. This is we're back. We're colleagues again.
Because it's different because you can't really say too much.
Yeah, you had to play nice.
Play nice.
You had to play nice, and now that is no longer the case. You can do whatever the hell you want. You and I discuss the Oil Stream pre and post game show because a little bit of a lineup tweak. Trev did a phenomenal job. He was a busy boy. Now he can focus on the daily programming as well as his new podcast with Hockey Edmonton. And then you will be joining Cass and I back on the pre and post game, which is going to be huge. So you and I will discuss some ideas and some things that we're going to be able to do now.
Oh, for sure. And like you said,
memories too.
Trev did a great job last year. You can feel his passion as well. I appreciate that. Like
he's great.
He heartbroken when they lost, just over the moon happy when they would win. So you kind of lived through it, right? You're like, that's a fan right there, right? But he kept the professionalism as well and was able to be objective, which is the most important part. So kudos to Trevor. I thought he did a wonderful job.
And he's in a tight battle with Jay Milne right now to get to 1,000. Have we gotten there yet? Maddie's behind the monitors. Maddie's been busting his butt all week. Zacticum's enjoying his last couple of days of vacation.
Kate,
what do we got?
Jay is at 965. Oof. Trev is at 974.
Whoa! The lead for you two, Trev. Up 9.
I won't lie. I retweeted Reed because I think Dusty with his 50,000 followers, I know, tilted the scale. I'm sorry, Jay. You retweeted Reed. Or pardon me, I retweeted Reed. Yeah, I'm doing what I can because I thought Dusty tilted the scales by getting a note out there for
I'm not
Trev.
getting involved.
Here's
oddly enough,
yeah.
it is the boss of this company that is completely sewering one of his newest employees and me.
HR Daddy, line one.
I said, I got to talk to HR, and Dustin gave me the side eye and said, he's my daddy.
He did it in that voice too, didn't he?
This might end.
I retweeted.
This might end today.
I think I bought everybody chicken here, and that's
I know.
the way
I can't wait to dive into some delicious Popeyes. I got you, boy. I got you.
I never supported anyone fully.
Yeah, there you go.
You were behind me.
I said both.
Mr. Wee.
I didn't get
toeing the line
I like both guys. I didn't get involved. Let them hammer that.
Yeah, as one of the new people, I think the best thing for you is kind of just be Switzerland right now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't want to get on Trev's bad side.
Trevor's, he doesn't get mad. He gets even. I'm just kidding. But to watch him, the growth and his capabilities from when he started to where he's at now, very, very steady progress. He's in a great spot, great broadcaster, and we're glad to have him. But so you're going to be on the Oil Stream pre and post game show. We're going to get to that. Let's get to some thoughts from our texters and listeners and viewers, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on iHeart, TuneIn, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, Apple Music, all that good stuff. And if you're I'm going to shout out Matthew Iwanek on this one. If you're listening on the podcast at a later time, hello to all of those who downloaded and listened to the podcast form. We appreciate you. I like how Matty does that.
See, those are the little things I got to incorporate.
Oh, you will. Yeah. It just comes. You weave them in. Let's go to Andrew texting in via the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. Says, guys, congrats on year one. Just want to ask, there was talk about the Oil making a, quote, significant move a few weeks ago. I wonder if there's anything else to that or if they are going to mostly stay pat until the season starts. Thanks. Do you want to, I haven't heard. I feel like they're kind of settled right now.
Yeah, I mean, Sure, maybe one or two. I don't know who. I mean,
maybe there's a Pete. I don't like.
it's gonna be on the defensive side. Obviously, up front they're fine. Goaltending, there's no need.
Yeah.
You might bring in a few extra bodies for all the preseason games they have to play. So, see you, man.
T-Roy popping by.
And so yeah, I mean, I've never been a big PTOs don't excite me. They did 20 years ago.
It's different.
It's different. I just whoever they do bring in, and if he makes a team, it's not a game changing guy.
No, this roster is pretty much set, and I know a lot of people are allured by the idea of a big addition on the right side on the blue line. I get it. I'm with you. I think that they need to find
and it will come
an improvement,
just not now.
It could happen mid-season, could happen at the deadline. We've seen that happen in recent years, and I think it helped them doing it. Kenny Holland and the Oilers doing it the way they have the past couple of years, getting that help, adding to the blue line, improving it mid-season. I think it helped people who would look at things and go, okay, they need to get a defenseman right now. They need to get a defenseman right now to, okay, they can make do with what they've got. It's not ideal. We get that. But in season, things happen. Players fall out of favor with coaches. We saw that with Tyson Barrie and Barry Trotz in the spat.
Yeah.
I think Barrie makes the Flames. There was interest on both sides. Like the Oilers did discuss Barrie's name. Barrie would have welcomed a reunion with the Edmonton Oilers, but it ends up going to Calgary with a PTO for Barrie. I think he does make that squad, but I think it has changed a bit. Like listening to and hearing fans and seeing the responses in the inbox and nasty chat where it's like, I don't like the defense particularly right now. Nurse needs to be better. Bouchard needs to continue to do what he's doing. Ekholm needs to be the Bouchard whisperer and stay healthy. Kulak. He's steady. He's solid. They don't have CC anymore, and now you have a combination of Emerson, Brown, and Stetcher to fill in the rest. And it's like, Broberg would have been good there to see if he could continue to grow. But I think now there's less urgency I'm sensing from the fan base than maybe we saw before.
And it's going to depend on the 6-7 defenseman on what Stan Bowman does. Like if they're struggling mightily, the Oilers are needing to score 4 or 5 goals every night, which might not be a problem for them, but it's not ideal. I think he's going to act a lot more quickly. But if they're rolling into the new year, Tommy, and mid-pack defensively and goals against and all that, I think he's going to keep his powder dry until the trade deadline and bring in that Ekholm-like addition to play in that top 4, right? Because I talked about it with Gager on Tuesday. I think I just said I was never a big CC guy or a Vinny DeHernay guy. I respected what they did. They're pairing guys. Limitations on both those players. So I said, if you're going to move on from them, I'm totally okay with it. But you need to bring guys that are better, and they haven't done that. Because everyone out there is putting Ty Eberson in the top 4. Nobody's watched him play.
Why are we doing that? He's played 30 NHL games on the worst team in the NHL.
He's moved 3 times, waiver claims. There's a reason for that. And listen, I haven't watched him. But I'm not going to say he's a top 4. I want to see him in preseason. I want to see him who he fits with. But I can't slide him into the top 4 spot just because he came over in a trade and the analytics. I know some of the analytics look really good, but he's played 30 games.
Yeah.
And he played on a really bad team.
Could he be a solution or the solution? Yes, you can't say no to that.
Of course.
The likelihood of it, I don't.
It's
particularly. I don't think is there. Like,
and then Stetcher, third pairing guy. Josh Brown, he's probably your 7. Kulak. I love Kulak. I think he's better in the playoffs. I think he really steps it up.
I think he's just a good NHL
solid defenseman. Yeah. And then Nurse is the wild card because he's so up and down. I'm not worried about the top pair. The top pair is fine too.
Yeah.
And sure, put a Stetcher or an Emerson with Darnell Nurse. Darnell Nurse needs to elevate his game to not so then we don't have to sit here and blame his partner for everything that goes wrong. Right, he should be helping a guy like Ty Emberson.
He should be the pillar on that pairing. Whatever pairing he's on, he should be the guy that you can rely upon. And when he's not, which he wasn't, especially in the playoffs last year, big concern. And he's certainly capable of playing much better than he did. Now, if you're going to look at him and be like, he's crap, he sucks, 9.25 this. The 9.25, is he worth 9.25? Does his body of work over the course of his career say he deserves a 9.25? I agree with you if you don't think that that's the case. Is he a $9.25 million defenseman with his play? Probably not. Is he overpaid by $1 million or $2 million per year? Yup. I think Dusty was saying it a couple of days ago. If he was making 7.25, that noise would be way quieter.
I think there would still be noise, but like you said,
but not to the extent
as
that we
much as
see.
it is now.
And I get it. And if you'd be an idiot to not take an offer like that, or if you had put yourself into a situation with your body, with what you did the season prior, and your peers and colleagues that were your equals were getting that money, that was the market for him.
Yeah. And he has a full no move. He's not going anywhere. He's part of the core. He's McDavid and Dry's boy. You see all that, and that all plays a factor. Now, I mean, to a certain extent, because so was Cody Ceci.
Yep.
And when he got moved, I'll put myself in this group. It's because I thought they were going to match Broberg.
Yeah.
Right? So, and they moved one of the favorites. You saw the exchange between Leon and Ceci. They're good buddies and all that. So, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do on the back end. But like I said, I think they're gonna stand pat right now and see what they have. And yeah, PTO's. I mean, you might bring in a few guys because we were looking at Calgary's depth chart when it came to defensemen. Depth chart, lineup.
Yeah, that's still.
I'm used to the football
depth chart works.
And Tyson Barrie should make that team. And I don't know why he fell out of favor in Nashville because I still think he's a good defenseman.
So I think he's going to try to prove to everyone that he's more than capable to provide.
Yeah.
Offense and decent. Listen, he got knocked for his defensive game
of course
here, and understandably so, but it got better.
Yeah, and you look at the Calgary aspect of it, you don't have to run Rasmus Anderson out there on the power play anymore because he plays a ton of minutes on the PK and
Uyghur
5-on-5.
eats a lot of minutes, right?
So Tyson Barrie can be your power play specialist, probably play on your third pair and not hurt you too much in that sense because he's not known for his defensive awareness.
Never has been.
He's not going to absolutely destroy you every time he's out there.
Yeah. Let's get to this one from Hampton Steve texting in. Says, afternoon, Tommy and Hernan. Congrats on 1 year. Thank you, Hampton Steve. Friedman was talking on 32 Thoughts today that Shattenkirk wants to go to the Oilers. Rich Winter said the other day that he's trying to sell the Oilers on Giordano. And then there was another report saying that the Oilers are interested in Schultz on a PTO, but his camp wants a contract instead. Of those three guys, who would you be most interested in? Hernan, what would you say to Hampton Steve?
So it's Shattenkirk, Giordano,
and Schultz.
I'd say no to Giordano. Just watching him in Toronto, he struggled. Shattenkirk's older too, but can move the puck. For me, it's between Shattenkirk and Justin Schultz. For me, I want a guy that can defend. We don't need guys for points here. I can care less if Nurse has 40 or 0 points.
Yep.
Just be better in your own end.
Of those three, the only guy that you'd look at and be like, he defends well, would be Giordano. He shoots the wrong way. He's old.
I don't know. There's something about Giordano I just don't see a fit here. So that's why I'm going Shattenkirk and Schultz. Who's better defensively of those two? It's probably Shattenkirk. I mean, it's close.
I guess.
I mean, both guys.
Shattenkirk reminds me of Barry.
Yeah.
And maybe a lesser version of Barry.
Lesser version of Barry. That's a good comparison.
They're both not that big.
Schultz is like the nostalgic. He was brought here. He was going to be a Norris winner. Nothing ever worked out because his teams were awful.
They were terrible.
He moved on, Stanley Cup champion. So I'll be honest, I wouldn't take either guy.
It's not an appetizing list.
No, if I had to pick,
options,
I'd probably go Justin Schultz.
Yeah,
because if anything, if he can't, if they're not the best at defending, at least Schultz can move the puck quick.
Yes,
right.
And you don't stay in the league as long as he has. He's up to a decade in the NHL with the Cup experience Hernan was talking about, playing on some good teams. You don't stay in the NHL if you can't play a little bit of defense as a blue liner, even though your forte is offensive production. So if I was picking between those three, like Hampton Steve asked us to, I'd probably say Justin Schultz as well. And he's a bigger body too. Not that he particularly plays physical, but if he's demanding a contract instead of a PTO, money is not necessarily, or cap space isn't what the Oilers have a ton of. I'm sure they could find a way to make it work. Of those three, I'd say, well, maybe Justin Schultz. But is he that much better than Stetcher, in your opinion? Or who knows what Emberson is? Again, we've gone over that. Yes, he's an NHL defenseman. But so is Stetcher. Stetcher's smaller, puck mover, not as physical. Yeah, there's pros and cons to both guys, but one guy you signed to a multi-year deal. The other guy would be coming in on a flyer, essentially. I don't know why they signed Josh Brown to a 3-year, $3 million contract.
Oh, man.
That one, I was like, where? What? How did this? Did they just need to replace Vinny?
I think.
But who knows? Let's see if he has a good year.
Again, not on the best team, but I just, oh boy, like Josh Brown. You saw DMB the day they signed him, and he talked to someone in Arizona and the comments that were made. I mean, not very nice comments, but
was told other similar things from other sources. I'm like, oh no.
I mean, it's a cheap contract.
But he's tough as hell. And
can you bury it? RCN says Schultz over Shattenkirk or Barry. This one from 4-3 says, I didn't even know Shattenkirk was still in the league.
He's kicking around. He's kind of bounced around the last few years. And you're like, oh, there he is. Shattenkirk.
It's just, Giordano would be very similar to adding Brandon Manning since he also injured McDavid. Like Barry.
Good pull. Brandon, remember when they traded for Brandon Manning? You and I were on the air. We're like,
and Petrovic.
And yeah, good for Petch getting back into the NHL last year.
That was, you know what? The Dallas series, because he was on Dallas.
Yeah, he was
and
fine.
I was just like, what's this guy out of the league? And he played pretty well.
He stayed in the AHL. He was a high-paid AHL defenseman, as he should be, because he's a veteran guy. He was good with Florida. I mean, COVID wasn't good to him. He's one of those guys that got squeezed out, not necessarily a top end guy and not really a young guy, not a filler guy. He was just in the middle, and he got squeezed out. So,
and I guess, Tommy, when you're talking PTOs, I don't think any guy you ever bring on is an ideal. It's someone's first choice, second or third or fourth choice. It's
PTO, as soon as you think of it, your mind's like, pulling from the scrap heap. And I don't want to demean any of these players because a lot of them have turned that into, look at Sonny Milano. Turned it into Christopher Stieg.
Chase on here in Edmonton.
Chase on, yeah. But it has that feeling to it where it's like, oh, nobody else wants these guys, so I guess we'll give them a tryout.
Did Lucic land somewhere this week?
There was talk about it.
Oh, okay. It's not official.
New Jersey
or something.
LA, no, not LA. New Jersey, I think, was one of them, but he's been training in LA, I believe. Something like that. So, yeah, we'll see. Tube Socks chiming in says, I still have trouble wrapping my head around people referring to the Oilers as, quote, older, veteran-laden team. It's always been the, quote, upstart Oilers, unquote. Yeah, that's true. They're one of the older teams in the league.
It's great to be here, though, Tommy. It's been a while since we can sit here and say the Oilers are a veteran team. And
a lot of the younger upstart Oilers were young, cheap, before they moved on somewhere else.
I think that's why I love the 90s teams so much, because it was before the salary cap era. You knew they couldn't really compete with the big dogs, but they had this heart and fire that they'd go toe-to-toe with anyone. It's just different time, right?
Like, it was.
Like, if the salary cap never came in, the Oilers couldn't have Draisaitl, McDavid.
Nope.
Potential of a Bouchard new contract. Darnell Nurse at $9 million. Are you kidding me?
We're on the cusp of $100 million salary cap in the NHL.
That's crazy. 2
years removed about. I think that's the projection. So, yeah, it's crazy. And considering the salary cap era started at around 36 or 39 million back in 05-06, it's great to see where it's gone. Obviously, I think it was Dusty or Maddie was running the numbers yesterday on one of the shows. Or no, it was Reed. The numbers, the billions of dollars generated by, let's call them the top four or four major sports leagues, now 5 with MLS. And it is, NFL, MLB, NBA, and then distant 4th and 5th is NHL and MLS. So long way to go. But they are having record profits in the NHL. Last year was, by all accounts, and from what we hear from people inside the league, one of their best year ever in terms of profit. And we'll see where it goes from here. Jason in Leduc chiming in. What's up, Jason in Leduc? Says, hearing you and Hernan together again makes me miss the call-in aspect. Somebody else was asked about that yesterday during your show, and then I think it ended up on Reed's show as well, and I was just watching on the YouTube Nasty Chat saying, are you guys bringing back the call-in line? Maddie and I discussed it, and we said we're liking what happened with and how the nasty chat has evolved. And Maddie, you and I and Hernan, we talked about it at the old shop too. We get a lot of complaints when people would phone in. We would. Remember that?
Yeah.
It does turn some people away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some people get annoyed by that.
Like we have the capability, but
Well, we don't fully.
like,
we don't.
Yeah, exactly. Like not to the extent we did before, right?
Well, even now, like it's actually a little weird. I have looked at it. It requires a special. You can't just. It's not easy to do calls just like that for podcasts, like equipment and stuff out there. And
That's
we're building
what
this
we're using.
digital world and stuff. If you go to the radio, like the full tech, which we're not fully set, like that radio tech, like the radio board, we
The
don't have.
12 switcher board, yeah.
It's it needs a full radio equipment for us to do this. It's
Right.
just it's not something you could just snap your finger and bring it on air like that. We have the phone line. I don't know if anyone knows that. We just don't have the equipment for it.
We don't need them.
Did you know we have a landline here?
No.
Yeah, we have
I'm
a
not
landline.
surprised though.
It's just a new way of doing things too. I think text and the nasty chat. I think people like hearing us read what they're saying, and you know, like I was telling you, I think when I joined you guys last week before we started all the two new shows, was that it was amazing the amount of messages you would get during the Oilers playoff run.
It was crazy.
It was I'm just chilling there in my apartment and listening to you guys and reading some of the stuff. I couldn't even keep track. And you're trying to host a show, you're getting audio, you're trying to go back and forth between you and Cass and Trev and reading text.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was chaos. It's good that we went through it. We've kind of learned, what we can do, what we can't do. It's a fun chaos. But the calls thing, RCN texted and said, "Don't take calls, LOL." And RCN,
what did RCN call? No, he wasn't a regular caller.
We had a bunch of regulars that would call. I think Jason would call in.
Jason and the Duke,
Josh would call in.
RCN, I think, did call.
Maybe RCN.
He was
did
very
call, but
yeah.
Here's a funny one, and it kind of sums it up. I missed the phone in some aspects. Some of those train wreck calls were quite amusing. Yeah, and like some people would get a kick out of them, but then we'd get like a bunch of texts saying that was terrible. Stop taking calls, Tommy and Hernan. Like,
remember the gentleman that would call in and say, "You got to trade McDavid."
Yeah, and
That
then
was one of your favorite.
the one dum that would be like, "Oh, they got to bring in Jim Benning and trade
I think it's the same
Drysdale."
person we're talking about.
He's
here,
a troll, obviously. Would do that to multiple different outlets, and we're in a good spot with the nasty chat and the text line, and that's how we're going to continue on this year on the Oil Stream pre and post game show. It is the Oil Stream Friday edition. Tom Gazzola, Hernan Salas with you. Nanso back in the saddle. It's going to be great. He's going to be on the Oil Stream pre and post game show, and that'll get going. People were asking too, will we be doing preseason games? The answer is yes, just one or two. Late in the preseason, when the rosters are pretty close to being done. We want to make sure that we're doing the shows when people can watch them on TV. I know there's going to be streaming and this and that of the games, has been for a few years. That's generally how we did it at 1260 as well. We'd wait till the last couple. Listen, there's going to be 8 preseason games with a split squad game on the 23rd. We will have a couple, and then and it'll be good for you and I to get back in the saddle together as well.
and we'll take them as some test shows, see what we're gonna do.
I mean, it feels like we're just hopping on a bike like we used to, but I think there's going to be some things that we'll just have to be, that's how Hernan likes to do that. Oh yeah, Tommy does this. And
it's just crazy because it's like this show is Oilers specific, and just seeing the response on the nasty chat on the inbox, and that's what you miss is the passion.
it's awesome.
And there's people arguing on the nasty chat about CC. And
Already?
It's just, I love it. I'm not arguing, but just, I guess, friendly discussions about Cody CC and all that. He's no longer here. Let's move
He's not
on.
here. He's a San Jose Shark. Great when he was here. Always fantastic to talk to. Cass and him obviously have a
Hell of a
friendship.
dresser.
Yeah. Just a very nice guy.
He's very Tommy Gazzola-like.
better. I'd see better.
Tube Sock says, I dig how Tommy and Hernan have the same facial hair going on right now.
Thank you, Steven. Actually, I think it was Troy T-Roy when he was here today. He was like, oh, I can really see it's coming in nice. And then he alluded to it being something that I cannot repeat on air. And I was like, oh boy, thanks for coming by, T-Roy. Good to see you too. All right, 780-218-9999. The Oil Stream brought to you by Boston Pizza. We're inside the Popeyes, Louisiana kitchen studios. Of course, check out our friends over at Coolbet 2, proud sponsor of EST, celebrating year number 1. Has been absolutely tremendous. A big thanks to Bruce and the crew at William Huff. They brought in the EST Adirondack chair with our logo and then all the different show logos on it. Very nice touch. It's been a great day. And we've got lots of programming left for you. We're going right until 6 o'clock. Hernan and Joaquin next on EST Afternoons, followed by the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. Nan, so like this is one part of the show I said, let's talk about this upcoming season on the Oil Stream, how you and I are going to go about doing it, because it's going to be a little bit different than what we had with Trev. Now, Cass, yourself, and I had worked together for a couple of years before. I think, well, you and I, actually, the three of us, like 4 or 5 seasons together. Mm-hmm. What are you going to try to bring in something new? What do you think people should expect? Because the show's going to evolve a little bit.
Always said, like, you know, I got the nickname Latino Heat, the Heat and all that. But for me, it's always just, it comes natural. Like, you don't want to force it. I never want to bring it. You can't bring it every night. The Oilers were winning 6-1. There's really no heat to bring outside of saying, hey, like, what a hell of a game and breaking it down. So for me, those stuff, the passion, it's just got to come naturally.
Yeah.
You know, when you're ready to explode, you just do it. But you can't do it every night. So, I mean, I'm probably going to defer to you guys. You guys have been doing this now for a year here, and it's because it's a different format for you.
Yes.
Right? So whatever you guys want, I'm all in, and just looking forward to it. Cass, I love the fire he's bringing. Like every year, he's just getting more like Latino Heat there, and I love his takes on analytics, and he breaks down the game so well, right? Like there's sometimes we look at a pairing and we're like, how can they get scored on, and then he'll kind of almost dumb it down for us.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, okay, so it wasn't his fault. It was this guy. And
he sends in now in our group chat. Remember he started doing screen caps and then he would draw a diagram. He does more of that now in game.
That's great. So he's been great. And we have such a good stable here of, you know, we can bring in Maddie, Dusty, Reed, Jay, YouTube, Trev, Zach Dickum, so Joaquin, Belzy.
Yep.
Like, you have so much people you can go to get analysis and preview the game. So I'm just looking forward to it. I'm happy to be back. I told you a few weeks ago, like, seeing the Stanley Cup run, there was a lot of FOMO there because you want to be a part of it, right? And don't get me wrong, it was nice to just watch. And if they lost, you can just turn it off. And
you would text me directly post game.
You and Maddie were the two guys I'd go to because I was like, I got to talk to someone about it. And my nephew, right?
Yeah.
But me and my nephew are kind of the same. Like, we both see the game the same
Luciano,
way. Yeah, we're both kind of fiery when they lose and super excited when they win. So I know Maddie always kind of pushes back, and it's more like you and him are more rational, more calm. You see it. You don't see it maybe the way I do.
I love that, though. I always joke the best part was after a game where they played poorly and they lost, I would start the show. I'd talk about what I thought, what I saw. You know, what does it mean, this and that? And I try to do like the first 3 or 4 minutes before I brought you in. But sometimes I could see you just
you make me wait, man.
I'd make you wait and I would just wind you up. And then I'd like slow down and kind of pretend I was going to pass it off to you. Then I'd keep going. And I could see you getting a little bit more angry. To me, it was angry, but I'm sure you're already a little bit ticked off. And then finally I'd be like, Hernan? And then you would just pop off and I'd get texts, people like, man, Hernan is on fire tonight.
Last year when, maybe it was a good thing I wasn't on there because during that playoff run and Darnell Nurse, I probably would have lost it. I would have been asked to take a timeout or something because I was, it's just being at home and the poor GF has to put up with my...
Poor Angelica.
It has to put up with my yelling and just what's going on. Because that first game against Vancouver when they blew the lead. Oh man.
That was bad.
Yeah, it was chaos on your show. I remember
you
that.
would have been a hot tamale on that post-game show.
Yeah.
So, we will have Reed incorporated into the show as well this upcoming season. Reed and I have briefly talked about some ideas, and he's going to be down at the rink like he always is. And so Reed will be involved in the pre and post game show. I think he wants to. I'm not going to speak for him, but I think the intention is for him to work the room post game
That's awesome.
And then we'll tap into him. We'll have Cass, obviously, and then you and I will also steer the ship as well. So there you go. That's kind of the outline for the Oil Stream pre- and post-game show. We will be back at Hudson's for certain dates. I think we're looking at about 4 per month. Again, looking forward to being on location there. That's going to be a lot of fun. Big shout out to Borley, Steve, Adam, Connor, and Berger, the management team over at Hudson's, because we had a lot of fun. A lot of the nasties showed up. It was good to see them at Century Casino again when Lieutenant Eric was on location for Thursday Night Football. We're just ramping up, man. And we say goodbye to year 1 and get set for year number 2 here. It's been a lot of fun, good partnerships, and we're only building this bad boy up. BP's has been on board since day 1. They mentioned that summer is short. Make any occasion a BP patio occasion. Still got lots of time, a little bit of time for some nice weather. Hop on a BP patio today to try their new summer menu. Fresh eats and drinks to fuel all your sunny patio hangs. So we got a little bit of time left doing that. YTT still on the post-game shows. One question coming in because they missed the start of the show. No. Trev's focusing on the morning show, and then Hernan Salas sliding back in.
No, I mean,
producer, co-host.
I might get sick one week, or
hopefully not, but yes, if that happens, we might see YTT.
Trev's going to be warming up in the bullpen, I think, all season. You never know, right?
Yep.
So, and he's a pro at it. He's excellent. So, I mean, I don't think we can sit here and say no more Trev. Trev's going to be.
It's not a no Trev. Absolutely not. It's just you're coming in, alleviating some of the burden on Trev, because there were a lot of long weeks when we had a smaller staff. Yeah. And he's got his own shows to focus on. But yeah, we could see him. But yeah, it's
looking forward to it, Tom. Enjoy these days before the season starts.
It's going to get crazy, man. 6-day work weeks.
I remember when you finished the season, I texted you and I said, please rest up. Because you were because if you're a media or a fan or whatever, it felt like you were playing with them, man. The stress of the games, and you're working them, so you're going an hour before, 2 hours after. I think it took a toll on everybody in the city.
If you went around to all the NHL staff, the staff up in and around the arenas, media, events people, security, and you said, "How are you guys doing?" Everyone would be like, "Oh, it's too bad they lost, but I'm so glad it's over."
Yeah,
everybody, and I think a lot of fans too were like, "Oh, it's too bad they lost. I'm so glad it's." There's exhaustion
down the road, you're like, oh, I needed this rest.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're just about ready to get ramped up. I'll be at the rink early next week as informal skates continue, and we get our first access to the players getting set for 2024-25 NHL season. Edmonton looking to make another run to the Stanley Cup. Coolbet has them as the favorites right now, and we'll see how that goes. Nanso, what's coming up on EST Afternoons with you and Gager?
Yeah, we're going to have some fun. Recap that excellent NFL game we had yesterday. So much to talk about when it comes to that. The Elks depth chart's out. Boris Beatty draws back in. Everything else kind of stays the same. I know Noah Taylor's else. We're going to break down that, and big news out of Calgary. New starting quarterback, so wow. Logan Bonner. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Can he be the next Ricky Ray or the next
Jeff Garcia?
Like Reed Wilkins and Dan Crowley. So it's going to be one or the other. But Justin Dunk at 140. We're going to preview week 14. And then Doug McLean, of course, local guy. Excellent dude. Excellent broadcaster. He's gonna talk Golden Bears as they kick off their home schedule today against Calgary down at Foot Field. And we're going to talk some Elks Oilers with him as well. And just have a lot of fun to close out our first week here on EST.
How's it been?
It's been fun. It's been great. Yeah.
Awesome.
So keep it locked in. Keep it locked in here on EST. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, don't go anywhere, obviously. And we're blessed to be graced by the presence of 2 Golden Bears alumni in this studio. Matthew Iwanek and one Jay Milne.
Wait. Explain yourself.
Well, Maddie's going to go and get it. He was bestowed alumni status by Chris Morris.
Oh.
And today it was made official when Jay Milne brought him in a Bears alumni jacket.
Oh, wow.
That he's wearing. There you go. If you're watching on YouTube,
I was like,
he's very proud of it. It's a nice jacket.
I know Jason Milne, and I heard a lot of good things about him. He was a really good player, but you surprised me with Iwanek.
Chris Morris gave it to
Chris Morris officially
C-Murder.
knighted.
He gave me status of alum.
Knighted
Hey,
Matthew.
you get a
Golden
jacket.
Bears
You
alumni.
get a
Yeah.
jacket from a guy nicknamed C Murder. I mean, huh?
The jacket
Yeah.
came from Jay,
But
but
he got knighted.
Oh, okay.
Adopted by Sir Anthony, Sir Michael, and Sir Matthew. Alumni.
Beautiful.
Hey, I got to see your parents soon, man.
Yeah.
Love your parents.
Hey, they're going to be at the football game tomorrow, I think.
I won't be there.
Shoot. It's going to be a lot of
Estes?
fun.
No?
Estes, they'll be there.
Okay, perfect.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the oil stream brought to you by the fine folks over at Boston Pizza. Big shout out to Coolbet as well as Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen for supporting the oil stream as well. I'm going to go enjoy some Popeyes right now. Coming up next here on EST, I love saying that, EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. For Matthew Awanek and Hernan Salas, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Ciao for now.